The story kicks off with Jason Bourne, a man trying to escape his past. After exposing the CIA's Blackbriar operation 12 years ago, he's been living off the grid. Once a CIA agent in a top-secret mission called Treadstone, Bourne lost his memory, and now he's back on the streets fighting for cash. But the weight of his past still haunts him. The guilt never lets go. Meanwhile, in Reykjavik, Iceland, Nikki Parsons, another former Treadstone operative, hacks her way through the CIA servers trying to score some sensitive files. She cracks open the Treadstone file and uncovers something explosive. Richard Webb is Jason's father and a CIA member, but Nikki's hack doesn't go unnoticed. CIA cyber expert Heather Lee quickly catches on and dumps a tracking virus into the files Nikki stole. And then, just to make things worse, Heather cuts the power to Nikki's place, throwing everything into darkness. But Nikki isn't done yet. She grabs the crucial files, slips them onto a flash drive, and bolts out of there before it's too late. Inside the CIA office, Heather sat in a tense meeting with Director Robert Dway and Edwin Russell, head of American National Intelligence. They were all focused on Nikki, the hacker who had pulled off the stunt of the year, helping Jason escape their clutches. It didn't take long for Robert and Edwin to agree Nikki had to be tracked down. Heather, knowing Nikki's tricks better than anyone, immediately jumped in. "I want to lead the operation," she said, confident she could outsmart Nikki this time. Meanwhile, Jason was in the middle of another brutal underground fight, doing what he did best. But his focus shifted when he spotted Nikki in the crowd. He finished the fight in record time and headed straight for the dressing room. There he found a message from Nikki. "Meet me at the town square. Protesters are your cover." Jason's pulse quickened as he made his way to the protest. He scanned the crowd searching for Nikki, but as he approached, things weren't exactly quiet. On the other side, Heather's team was already hot on Nikki's trail, and she wasn't the only one Robert had sent in the asset. A deadly agent trained to take out anyone in the way. After a little while, Jason pushed through the chaos of protesters. Finally catching up to Nikki, she dropped a bombshell she'd hacked into the CIA system and uncovered that Jason's dad was part of the team that founded the Treadstone operation. But the CIA was closing in, so Jason quickly told her to split up. Jason shook off the agents on his tail with a wild plan. He set the street on fire, jumped on a train, and when the agents followed, he took them out. But then the asset showed up and the stakes skyrocketed. Jason grabbed a police motorbike, picked up Nikki and gunned it. The asset wasn't far behind. With Heather guiding him, he tracked them through the chaos of Molotov cocktails flying everywhere. But he lost control and crashed into a building. Heather gave him new orders to get to the roof and take the shot. He did, and his bullet sent Jason and Nikki flying off the bike. Jason tried to save her, but the assassin shot Nikki. She died in his arms, but not before tossing him a key. Grateful for her sacrifice, Jason held on to the key. The next day, he went to the locker Nikki had told him about. Inside, he found a flash drive and a notebook detailing her investigation. Flipping through the notebook, Jason uncovered a code Nikki had written with an address in Berlin, Germany. Meanwhile, Robert sat across from Aaron Corr at a sleek restaurant, pushing for a deal. Aaron, the head of Deep Dream, a company that powered software for phones and computers worldwide, listened carefully. Robert laid out the CIA's plan. Iron Hand wanted Aaron's help sharing info on Deep Dream's users so the CIA could spy on them, but Aaron wasn't biting. "Your security isn't good enough," he said, "and I'm not risking my company." With that, he walked out, leaving Robert frustrated. The next day, the fallout hit. Legal officials arrived at Aaron's door, questioning him about information violations. Aaron knew exactly who was behind it. Robert now had a plan. He'd reveal the CIA's darkest secrets, including Iron Hand, in a speech he was set to give in Las Vegas. Meanwhile, Jason was following a trail from Nikki's secret code. It led him straight to Christian Dessau, the leader of a hacker group Nikki had worked with. Jason didn't waste any time opening the files on Nikki's flash drive. "Show me," demanded, but Christian warned him. "Heather's virus is in there. It'll let the CIA track us too late." Heather's alert went off. The CIA was on their way to arrest Jason in Berlin. Christian attempted to convince Jason to share everything on the flash drive with the American public, hoping to expose the CIA. However, Jason wasn't interested in making things public. As there was too much on that drive he wanted to keep hidden. As he dug deeper, Jason uncovered something. Personal files about his father, who had died in a bomb explosion before he ever joined Treadstone Memories, hit hard, but he couldn't focus on them now. Christian wasn't backing down. He lunged for the flash drive. Jason fought back, knocking Christian out cold. Jason went back to his laptop, checking more files when Heather hacked into it, shutting it down cold. She quickly informed Robert that she'd wiped everything Jason had accessed. Robert called Jason, pretending to stall for time as the CIA team closed in. Heather, in a low voice, warned Jason a CIA team was just 2 minutes away, without hesitation. Jason bolted, making sure they couldn't catch him. Later, Robert, Edwin, and Heather sat down for another briefing about the operation. Heather made a bold request. Don't kill Jason. She had a plan to get him back on their side. Edwin seemed intrigued, but Robert, still uneasy, knew he couldn't argue with Edwin's higher rank the next day. Jason kept digging into his past. He called Malcolm Smith, a former Treadstone agent, who had protected him after Richard's death. Jason set up a meeting, then headed to a rooftop to watch the location from a distance. He spotted a suspicious minibus nearby, a possible CIA surveillance vehicle. Meanwhile, Heather, the asset, and their team kept a close watch on Malcolm, using his family as leverage to keep him quiet about Jason's past. After gearing up, the asset and Heather's team stepped out of their vehicle, ready to start their surveillance. The asset had other plans. He secretly ditched the tracking device Heather gave him and wiped out his entire team, unseen by Heather. This was all part of Robert's plan to stir up tension between Heather and Jason, hoping she'd reconsider eliminating him inside the surveillance vehicle. Heather tried to get in touch with her team, but they were nowhere to be found. Suspicion started creeping in. Meanwhile, the asset was already on the move. Heading to a rooftop with a sniper rifle in hand, Jason, on his way to meet Malcolm, stopped by a building's electrical panel. He tampered with some cables leading to a cell phone. As he backed away, he accidentally dialed the number, triggering a fire alarm in the office area. Chaos erupted. People rushed to evacuate, thinking it was a real fire. The confusion gave Jason the perfect cover to slip past unnoticed and finally catch up with Malcolm. The crowded streets made it almost impossible for the asset to get a clear shot. Jason led Malcolm up to the rooftop, hoping to uncover the truth about his father's death and its connection to Treadstone. Malcolm couldn't speak freely because he was secretly wired, listening to Robert's every word to protect his frustrated family. Jason snapped and physically confronted Malcolm. What Jason didn't know was that the asset had already locked onto their location. After a brutal beating, Malcolm cracked and revealed the truth. Richard wasn't killed by terrorists. He was eliminated by the CIA. Richard had refused to let Jason join Treadstone, and they couldn't let that stand. Jason, believing the lies about his father's death, had already joined the operation. Hell-bent on revenge, desperate for answers, Jason demanded to know who killed his father. But before Malcolm could respond, the asset showed up in that moment. Everything clicked, and the man standing in front of him wasn't just any agent. He was the same one Jason had seen at the explosion that took his father's life. The memories flooded back, and Jason froze. Then a shot rang out. Both Jason and Malcolm were thrown from the rooftop. Jason barely managed to grab onto a cable, but Malcolm wasn't so lucky he didn't survive the fall. The asset came down to finish the job, but to his surprise, Jason wasn't dead. He'd regained consciousness and slipped away before the agent could even realize. Heather, frustrated and reeling from losing both her team and track of Jason, was caught off guard when Jason smashed the car window. "Start the car," he ordered as they sped away. Heather, seeking her own revenge against the asset, and Robert decided it was time to reveal something big. She told Jason her boss was heading to Las Vegas for a speech with Aaron. Then, handing him her cell phone, she told him to stay updated on the CIA's next move. Meanwhile, Robert had already touched down in Las Vegas, his mission clear: eliminate Aaron. Word had spread from one of Aaron's colleagues that the head of Deep Dream was about to blow the lid off the CIA's Iron Hand operation. Robert knew he had to act fast. Doing it in public would ensure Aaron's plans were never exposed back in the city. Heather caught wind of Jason's arrival. She knew he was at risk of getting stopped at the airport thanks to the CIA's travel ban. Without hesitation, she erased his identity from the CIA database, ensuring he'd slip through immigration undetected. As Aaron prepared for his big speech, everyone was in motion. The asset suitcase in hand, He readied himself to take Aaron out. Meanwhile, Jason blended in with the event staff, staying low as he grabbed a tracking device and a mini camera from a display. Quick as a flash, he slipped the tracker into Heather's pocket and whispered. Shortly after that, Heather sensed something was off during Aaron's speech and immediately alerted Jason. Jason spotted movement behind the air vent. Quick on his feet, he switched the stage lights toward the ventilation, just in time to throw off the asset's aim. The shot grazed Aaron instead of landing a fatal blow. Chaos erupted. The asset, about to flee, shot down a security guard before bolting. Meanwhile, Robert, realizing Jason was onto him, made a quick getaway. Jason wasn't far behind because of the tracking device Heather had slipped into Robert's jacket. It only took a second for Jason to pinpoint his location. Robert was heading upstairs. Jason neutralized one of his bodyguards and took the elevator, locking it out to keep the others from following. When Jason reached the CIA director's office, he confronted Robert about his past in Richard's death. Heather arrived right on cue, ending Robert's life without a word. Jason turned on his heel, intent on finding the asset and avenging his father. The chase was on. The asset stole a SWAT vehicle parked outside, but Jason was right behind him. The asset, now on the run from both Jason and the police, collided with another car, sparking a massive traffic jam after losing Jason in a high-speed chase. The asset dove into a tunnel, hoping to shake him off. But Jason wasn't far behind. The two clashed in an intense battle, and for a moment it seemed like the asset had the upper hand. But Jason flipped the script, taking down the man who'd killed Richard. He quickly made his escape, just as sirens wailed in the distance. A few days later, Aaron walked out of the hospital, remaining silent, despite the swarm of reporters eager for answers about the speech he had planned before the shooting. Meanwhile, Heather met with Edwin to discuss becoming the new head of the CIA after completing her mission. However, Heather had a hidden agenda. Her real goal was to earn Edwin's trust and make Jason her pawn. She promised to bring him back into the CIA. Once she took Robert's position, if she failed, she would ensure Jason didn't survive. Intrigued, Edwin gave Heather the go-ahead to take control. The film ended in a quiet city park. Heather approached Jason and asked him to rejoin the CIA. He nodded and said he'd think about it before walking away. When Heather returned to her car, she discovered a camera hidden in her seat. The footage showed her conversation with Edwin planning Jason's return. What Heather didn't realize was that Jason had been one step ahead, placing the device in Edwin's car and tracking her every move. So the moral of the story is never try to outsmart Jason Bourne. He's already 3 steps ahead, has your car bugged, your files hacked, and probably knows what you had for breakfast.